Work, books, ideas and contribution. Theory of four causes. Aristotle initially claimed that everything was made up of five elements: earth, fire, air, water, and ether. Aristotle is also famous for his four causes, which explain the nature of change in an object. Material cause. It is determined by the material of which the thing is made. Formal cause. It is determined by the form, arrangement, shape and essence the thing is made of. Efficient cause. It is determined by an external agent or force. Final cause. It is determined by the final aim or purpose that the thing is serving. Teleology. According to Aristotle, everything has teleology. Teleology is a purpose behind everything in nature. This teleology is final cause of everything. All things have been created for its teleology or final purpose. Axioms. Aristotle believed that when trying to determine the fundamental nature of reality, the only place to begin was with basic axioms. One such axiom was the principle of non-contradiction, which states that a substance cannot have a quality and not have that same quality at the same time. Aristotle would use this concept not only as an important beginning point for natural philosophy and metaphysics but also for the basis of symbolic logic, which he was the first to establish. Even though an axiom can't be proven, it is something that we assume to be true because it seems to be self-evident, and this allows us to move forward in establishing an argument. Logic. Through symbolic logic with Aristotle, we had our first attempt to evaluate validity in reasoning. If, for instance, all insects are invertebrates, is our first premise, and all invertebrates are animals, is our second premise, then our conclusion that all insects are animals is a valid conclusion because it follows from the premises. This has nothing to do with the truthfulness of the premises. If we substituted the first premise for all birds are invertebrates, and the conclusion all birds are animals, the logic is still valid regardless of the fact that the first premise is false. In this case, we still get a true conclusion even though we have a false premise, and in this way Aristotle had proven that reasoning is separate from the truthfulness of the premises being considered. A logical argument could have false premises and a true conclusion, but true premises would always lead to a true conclusion. Eudaimonia and virtues. The concept of Aristotle's theory of golden mean is represented in his work called Nicomachean Ethics, in which Aristotle explains the origin, nature and development of virtues which are essential for achieving the ultimate goal, happiness eudaimonia, which must be desired for itself. Aristotle thought that the goal of human beings in their search for happiness was to reach eudaimonia, or a state of flourishing. He agreed with Plato that virtue did not necessarily lead to a better life, but he did think that in order to achieve a true state of eudaimonia, aiming for virtue was necessary. Aristotle thought that the way to identify a virtue was that it was a middle ground between two vices in opposite directions. For instance, temperance was identified by Aristotle as a virtue, and the very definition of this term implies taking things in moderation. While virtue ethics has come back in vogue, it is under contention what exactly key virtues are. Aristotle's virtues are temperance, justice, fortitude, courage, liberality, magnificence, and magnanimity. Some philosophers might simply replace a term that they find too vague, such as justice, with a term they find more specific, like fairness. Others might insist on replacing certain virtues with entirely different ones. Political ideas of Aristotle. Man is a political animal. The source of Aristotle's political ideas is his book, Politics. Aristotle observes, human beings are creatures of flesh and blood, rubbing shoulders with each other in cities and communities. Like his work in zoology, Aristotle's political studies combine observation and theory. He and his students documented the constitutions of 158 states, one of which, the Constitution of Athens, has survived on papyrus. The aim of the Politics, Aristotle says, is to investigate, on the basis of the constitutions collected, what makes for good government and what makes for bad government, and to identify the factors favorable or unfavorable to the preservation of a constitution. According to Aristotle, there's 6 types of government which he described in his book, Politics. Aristotle says government must be in the hands of one, of a few, or of the many, and governments may govern for the general good or for the good of the rulers. Government by a single person for the general good is called monarchy, for private benefit, tyranny. Government by a minority is aristocracy, if it aims at the state's best interest, and oligarchy, if it benefits only the ruling minority. Popular government in the common interest Aristotle calls polity. He reserves the word democracy for anarchic mob rule.